remember Obama's red line comments when he threatened Syria's President Bashar al-Assad over the use of chemical weapons on his own people in 2012. Well, a year after that threat was made, more than 1,400 men, women, and children were killed in a chemical weapons attack in Syria. That red line was crossed badly, and the Obama-Biden White House failed to enforce it. Fast forward 10 years to the president. The once VP Joe Biden is now the president, whether he knows it or not. We're not entirely sure. But he's the commander-in-chief, and like his former boss, Joe is faced with a red line moment, but this time with Iran. On Tuesday, his Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, promised a swift and decisive response if Iran or their proxies attacked American forces. So the question becomes, will Joe Biden fail to follow through just like his boss, Obama? Well, the answer is he already has. Take a look at these headlines. U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria attacked 13 times in the past week. Iran-backed groups claim attacks on Syria bases attacks on U.S. bases in Syria, Rockets hit targets in Iraqi bases housing U.S. forces. So, do you think threats from the Biden White House mean anything? Of course not. They've been getting away with it so far. Why would it change? The precedent has been set. U.S. forces can be attacked with impunity. Joining me now is Florida Congresswoman Paulina Luna. Off the top, congratulations, you have a Speaker of the House, Paulina Luna. Let's talk about this. You know, I'm very disturbed that we today found out that American forces have been attacked 12 or 13 times over the past couple of weeks. Why didn't we know about it, number one? And then I think back to Joe Biden sitting on a beach over the weekend. Americans are being attacked and he's beaching it up.
I mean, you know, up here in Washington, we actually did start to hear about that last week. I think the media has been really running a lot of cover for this administration. And in fact, I'm glad that you're mentioning this now. Myself, Representative Gates, and a few other members actually sponsored a resolution to withdraw our troops from Syria. But as you're seeing, what's happening in Washington does have massive implications across the world. And I do believe that this administration has been undermined on the world stage. And with everything happening in Washington, I think that our adversaries took advantage of that. But as you heard today in Representative and now Speaker Johnson's speech, he is back and he is going to ensure that the world understands that we're not going to be backing down, that you cannot treat the United States like that. And so, frankly, I think that we are going to be doing a lot of blocking on behalf of the American people because this administration simply isn't doing it.
They're not instilling confidence or certainly instilling fear in our enemies. Listen to Joe Biden earlier today when asked about hostages being held by Hamas.
But aren't these hostages in jeopardy if there is a ground invasion?
You want to make a speech? No, look, obviously they're in jeopardy. The question is whether or not there's any way of getting them out. And if we can get them out, we should get them out.
What, APL, what the hell was that?
Exactly. The frustrations that we've been seeing here in Congress are exactly what you're seeing now. You know, we had a Representative Corey Mills who actually was more strategic in helping Americans than this administration was by going to Israel and running some of those evacs. But frankly, Eric, if I was in his position, I'd be activating DevGru. I'd be sending out every hostage rescue team we can to ensure that our Americans are being brought home. And frankly, this would not have happened under President Trump. But again, you have this administration essentially funding both sides of what's happening in Israel, right? They are calling for an aid package to go to Gaza when we know that over 50% of Palestinians are supporting what Hamas is doing, and also Israel, our ally, of which I support aid to. But the foreign policy debacle that this administration has caused is essentially unfolding on the world stage.
There was a meeting today between the leaders of Hamas and Hezbollah, and they were talking about total victory. What do you think that meant what does it mean effectively to you, APL?
It means that they are essentially looking at basically destroying Israel and the elimination of the West. What a lot of people don't understand is these radicalized ideologies don't support the United States. They don't support even our culture. And so it's ironic to me when you see the very radicalized progressive left embrace and I think throw their support behind Hamas and some of these movements, because frankly, if it were up to these people, they would not exist.
Congresswoman Paulina Luna, I want to thank you very much. And again, congratulations on the Speaker. My earpiece is telling me they want me to ask you about the Speaker. So tell me your thoughts on Speaker Johnson.
I wish you guys could have been in the room when we saw the kind of inner workings of how this happened. But let me just tell you, Eric, there was a movement to stop him. And the majority of the conference consolidated around him from all factions. We call it the five families. But even some of the more moderates to the most conservative members said, you're not going to do this to our guy. He's really the guy that we need for right now. And what you'll see, Eric, and what the people will see is he's going to be one of the most conservative speakers we'll probably have in my lifetime and yours.
It's a good, again, we talked to Gates, it was MAGA versus the rhinos, and MAGA became victorious, and that's the way it should be. Congresswoman Paulina Luna, thank you.